What happens when happily ever afters come with a side of murder? Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into the dark world of serial killer couples, partnerships where romance and murder became inseparably linked. These aren't your typical love stories. These are tales of manipulation, violence, and unspeakable crimes that shocked the world. From Canada's most notorious killers to Britain's House of Horrors, we'll explore three couples whose names became synonymous with evil. But before we begin, we have to warn you, the content we're covering today is extremely disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. If you're ready to learn about some of the most chilling criminal partnerships in history, hit that like button and let's get started. Our first couple earned one of the most chilling nicknames in criminal history. Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka were dubbed the Ken and Barbie killers because of their attractive appearance that masked the absolute horror of their crimes. Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka first met in 1987 and instantly fell in love. But this wasn't a fairy tale romance. That same year, Paul began committing a series of sexual assaults in Ontario, Canada, which eventually escalated to murder. What makes this case particularly disturbing is that Paul was already known as the Scarborough Rapist before he partnered with Karla. Together, this deadly duo essayed and murdered at least 3 girls, including Karla's own sister, Tammy. Think about that for a moment. Karla participated in the murder of her own flesh and blood. The level of manipulation and evil involved here is almost incomprehensible. 2 more young girls were essayed and killed by the couple together, while Paul would often commit other crimes solo. When they were finally arrested in 2003, Karla turned on Paul, claiming she had been coerced into participating in the crimes under threat of violence. She struck a controversial plea deal with prosecutors, pleading guilty to manslaughter and receiving only a 12-year prison sentence. Meanwhile, Paul was convicted of multiple crimes, including first-degree murder and essay, and was sentenced to life in prison. What's particularly chilling about this case is how a seemingly normal relationship deteriorated into something so monstrous. Karla was released from prison in 2005 and is now married with 3 kids. Paul remains behind bars and has been denied parole 3 times. Our second couple takes us across the Atlantic to Britain, where Fred and Rose West created what can only be described as a house of horrors. Fred and Rose West were responsible for a series of horrific crimes between the late 1960s and 1980s, solidifying their status as one of England's most notorious serial killer pairs. Fred, born in 1941, had a troubled upbringing and a history of violent behavior before meeting Rose, who was 15 at the time. Their relationship quickly became a partnership in crime, leading to the abuse, torture, and murder of at least 12 young women, including 2 of their own children. Their home at 25 Cromwell Street in Gloucester became known as the House of Horrors, where many of their victims were buried. Fred was arrested in 1994 and took his own life before standing trial, while Rose was convicted of 10 murders and sentenced to life in prison. The couple's crimes shocked the nation, revealing a disturbing pattern of manipulation and brutality. They preyed on vulnerable young women, luring them into their home under false pretenses before subjecting them to unimaginable suffering. Despite Fred's insistence that Rose was unaware of his actions, evidence showed that she was an active participant in the killings. She remains incarcerated, living in isolation, and reportedly struggling with her health, while their surviving children have spoken out about the abuse they endured. Their story continues to be examined in documentaries and investigations, shedding light on the depths of their depravity and the lasting impact on their victims' families. Our final couple proves that evil can emerge from the most unlikely places. Charles Starkweather and Carol Ann Fugate began dating in 1956 after being introduced by Carol's sister Barbara. Carol was 13 years old at the time, while Charles was a high school dropout 5 years her senior. What started as a teenage romance would become one of America's most notorious killing sprees. Charles committed his first murder in December 1957, a gas station attendant, but it wasn't until 2 months later that he killed with Carol's involvement. The trigger was seemingly mundane. When he visited her house, Carol's mother and stepfather asked him to leave. His response was to kill them and her 2-year-old half-sister. Following this horrific act, the two lovers embarked on a week-long killing spree, traveling from Nebraska to Wyoming and taking at least 7 more lives. When the police finally caught up with them, the couple turned on each other in a pattern we've seen before. Carol claimed she was being held hostage, while Charles insisted she was a willing participant. This dynamic of mutual accusation seems to be a common thread among killer couples when they're finally caught. Charles was found guilty and sentenced to die by the electric chair. Carol, who was also found guilty, was sentenced to life in prison. But though Charles was executed on June 25, 1959, Carol served just 17 years of her sentence. She went on to live a normal life. In 2020, Carol applied for a full pardon in order to clear her name. She has always maintained her innocence despite the outcome of her trial. However, her pardon application was denied. Whether she truly was forced by Charles or a trigger-happy accomplice, only Carol herself knows for sure. The cases we've explored today show us that evil can take many forms, and sometimes the most dangerous criminals are those who appear most normal on the surface. Whether it's the attractive young couple next door, the seemingly ordinary family down the street, or teenage sweethearts, these stories remind us that appearances can be devastatingly deceiving. What's perhaps most disturbing about these cases is how love, something that should be pure and beautiful, became twisted into something so dark and destructive. What do you think drives people to commit such heinous acts together? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe.